It is time for another 1-minute market update where we talk about the 2 stats that you actually care about when it comes to real estate. How much is my home worth today compared to what it was yesterday, and how quickly will it sell in today's market? I'm Angelo Manusiades with Stonehouse Realty, and today we're also going to take a quick second to talk about what the Bank of Canada did, which is drop their overnight interest rate by 0.5%. Now, the news is calling this a jumbo rate drop. How much of an effect it will have in the short term remains to be seen, but one thing is very interesting. We had what can generally be described as an average October. Now, that might sound kind of silly, but the past 6 months or so have been very much below average. So a return to average, as far as yearly stats are concerned, is actually a positive thing for the market. It means that things are likely going to start stabilizing a little bit. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of months. And with another rate announcement happening in December, we'll see where that ends up landing. Most economists think that we're in for another drop, but who knows? They've been wrong almost every other time. Anyway, let's jump into the market stats. We're going to talk about 3 separate segments of the market. That is detached homes, so your typical house, townhomes, and then condos. And we're going to talk about the HPI price and the days on market on average. And of course, HPI price is the average price of an average home in a neighborhood. It's not the average sale price, because the average can swing up and down a fair bit based on what has actually sold in a certain period of time. So starting with detached homes in Burnaby, you saw a 1.8% increase in HPI price from last month and a 3.7% increase from last year. Now, Coquitlam detached homes, you saw a 0.5% decrease from last month and a 0.3% decrease from last year. So pretty close to neutral. Port Moody saw a 4.1% drop in prices from last month, but a 2.3% increase from this time last year. Port Coquitlam, one of the big winners for detached, you saw a 2.7% increase from last month and a 5.5% increase from this time last year. Maple Ridge, net zero, no change from last month, but a 0.9% increase from this time last year. And Pitt Meadows, another big winner, up 5.5% from last month and 2.3% from this time last year. Now on the townhome side of things, in Burnaby, you saw a tiny 0.2% increase from last month and a net zero, no change from this time last year. In Coquitlam, a 3.5% decrease from last month and a 2.7% decrease from this time last year. Port Moody, a 1.4% drop from last month and 1.5% drop from this time last year. Port Coquitlam, a 1.9% decrease from last month and 7.1% from this time last year. That's probably telling you it might be a good time to look into buying a townhome in Poco. Maple Ridge, a 2.2% drop from last month and a 0.1% drop from last year, basically the same. And Pitt Meadows, a 2.2% drop from last month and 2.9% drop from this time last year. So as you can see, townhomes actually did take a little bit of a dip across most of these markets. All right, and into condos in Burnaby. You saw a 0.2% increase from last month, very small, and a 2.7% drop from this time last year. In Coquitlam, a 1.3% increase from last month and a 1% increase from this time last year. Port Moody, a 1.6% drop from last month, but still up 0.7% from this time last year. Port Coquitlam, a 0.4% drop from last month, but up 1.8% from this time last year. Maple Ridge, one of the big winners, condo prices up 5.6% from last month and up 5.5% from last year. And Pitt Meadows, the other big winner, up 6% from last month and 6.2% from last year. All right, now here's where things actually start to get a little bit interesting. As we're talking about days on market, that is the average amount of time that it's taking a home to sell. Now, we've seen averages up around the 30-day mark, which is not necessarily bad, but a little bit abnormal for our market. At least from what we've seen over the past couple of years anyway. Now, this past month, across the board, days on market has dropped. In Burnaby, you're down 46% down to 16 days on average. In Coquitlam, you're down 40% down to 18 days on average. In Port Moody, you're also down 40% down to 12 days on average. In Port Coquitlam, you're down 32% down to 15 days on average. In Maple Ridge, you're down 37% down to 24 days on average. And in Pitt Meadows, down 35% down to 20 days on average. So what does all that mean? Well, what it means is that people, at least in October anyway, were out and about actually making purchases, which is something that we haven't really seen too much over the past few months. It has been pretty stagnant. So if I were to hazard a guess here, what it looks like is happening is people are starting to get comfortable with where rates are and the fact that they feel that rates are going to continue to get lower. Because when people are looking to make a big purchase like this, they want to know that their investment is likely to be worth more money later on down the road. And as rates come down, the expectation is that prices will at some point start to go up. If you want to know about your particular neighborhood, if you want to know what's happening, let us know in the comments below, or there is a link in the description below. You can set up a time with us. We can have a quick chat. We can fill you in on what is happening in your neighborhood. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.